Have you ever heard how your brain functions when it's bored? There is a term for it, acoustic pareidolia. It's when you hear music in the hum of a fan or whisperings in the sound of running water. Your brain is a pattern-seeking machine. Chaos frightens it, so it molds random sounds into something familiar, faces in the clouds, voices in the static. I knew all about this. I read the studies. I prepared myself. I considered myself a rationalist, damn it. I thought 3 weeks in a fire lookout tower in the Gunnison National Forest would be easy money and time to finish my books. I was wrong. God, was I wrong. Day 1. My tower is a standard box on stilts, sticking up 40 feet above the ground. The view from here is breathtaking, an endless sea of pines and rocks. Inside, it smells of old wood and dust. I unpacked my gear, an REI sleeping bag, a box of MREs, Chili Mac flavor, absolute trash, but it'll do, and my trusty Stanley thermos with coffee. The wind here never stops for a second. It beats against the cabin glass with a sound like someone trying to tune a radio frequency. Baker 3, radio check, I said into the handset, holding down the button. 10-4, Baker 3. I hear you, but with interference. Storm front approaching. And radio voice, replied the dispatcher, old Hank. His voice was drowning in the crackle of static. I smirked. Rookies often lose their minds in the first week. They think the wind is calling their name. I just poured myself some coffee, opened a book, and listened to the drone. To me, it was just white noise, physics, the movement of air masses. At night, I woke up to a creaking sound. The sound was coming from below. Creak, creak. It was the wooden stairs. I lay in my sleeping bag, listening. Bears don't walk rhythmically. Deer don't climb stairs. The wood is cooling down after the heat, I told myself. Temperature changes, thermal contraction. Don't be an idiot, Mike. I forced myself to sleep, though my hand rested on the handle of the hatchet under my bed. Day 5. In the morning, I went down to check the water tank. The ground was damp from the night fog. And then I saw them. Tracks. They circled the tower supports. They weren't boots. They were bare feet. But something was wrong with them. The toes, they were splayed unnaturally wide, like a fan pressed against glass. And the size, too big for a human, too narrow for a Sasquatch or any other cryptid nonsense. I went back up and bolted the hatch shut. My heart was hammering somewhere in my throat. Suddenly, the radio came to life. Baker 3, what the hell? Hank's voice cut through the hiss. I grabbed the radio. Baker 3 here. What's going on, Hank? 10-4. Just interference, probably. The affected voice sounded strange. Too clean. Usually the radio chews sounds, adding digital grit, but here the voice sounded like Hank was standing right behind me. Out, I muttered. For the rest of the day, I sat staring at the forest. The wind picked up. Now, in its howl, I could hear fragments of phrases. Went down, open, Mike. Acoustic pareidolia. I repeated it like a mantra.
Day 9. The storm. It started towards evening. The sky turned black-purple, and the wind hit the windows so hard the glass vibrated. The cabin was shaking. The noise became unbearable. First, I heard music, old jazz that my father loved. Then, a baby crying. And then, the wind spoke with my mother's voice. Mikey, let me in. It's cold out here. She died 5 years ago. This isn't real, I whispered. I took out my Sony WH-1000 XM4 headphones, the best noise canceling on the market. I put them on and turned on active noise canceling. The world instantly became muffled and cotton-like. My mother's voice vanished. I exhaled and closed my eyes. Thump, thump, thump. I opened my eyes. The sound broke through the noise canceling. It wasn't a sound. It was a vibration. Someone was knocking at the hatch in the floor. I sat with my legs tucked in, feeling the blows resonate in the soles of my boots. Thump, thump. We're at 40 feet. There is only a narrow staircase and a 50-mile-per-hour wind. The knocking was demanding, rhythmic, conscious. I couldn't move. The sonic barrier of my headphones, which was supposed to protect me, was now working against me. I didn't hear the storm. I only heard this dull, persistent knocking from below. I had to check. I had to make sure it was a branch or loose siding. I crawled to the window overlooking the stairs. Outside, it was pitch black. A flash of lightning tore the sky apart. On the stairs, just a few meters below the platform, someone was standing. A human, absolutely naked. His skin was gray, as if smeared with wet ash or clay. He was thin, with unnaturally long limbs that convulsively gripped the railing. He wasn't looking at his hands. He was looking straight up, straight at me. In the next second, the radio on the table hissed. But the creature on the stairs wasn't holding a radio. It simply opened its mouth, wide, too wide, revealing rows of teeth that were more numerous than they should be. And from the speaker of my radio, sitting inside the locked cabin, came my own voice. "Help me! God, it's here! Open the hatch!" It was my scream, recorded perfectly, but the creature below just smiled that horrible, toothy smile while the radio broadcasted my panic. It wasn't using a frequency. It was mimicking the signal. It was making the speaker vibrate. I recoiled, tripped over my backpack, and fell. "Baker 3? Baker 3, come in!" The radio suddenly barked in a completely different tone. It was Hank, the real Hank. The voice was distorted with crackle and static. "Baker 3, a ranger team is headed your way. We detected unauthorized activity in your sector. Hang in there, son. They'll be there in 5 minutes." I crawled to the window. Below, on the fire road, 2 bright beams pierced through the veil of rain. Headlights. Warm, yellow, electric light. The most beautiful thing I had ever seen. The car was approaching the tower fast. I looked at the stairs again. Empty. The creature had vanished, dissolving into the forest, scared of the light. I sobbed. I laughed and sobbed at the same time. An SUV with the USFS emblem stopped at the base of the tower. The engine was running, headlights illuminating the bottom steps. "I'm coming down," I yelled into the radio, grabbing my jacket. I threw open the hatch. The wind hit my face, but the fear was gone. Down there were people, weapons, safety. I flew down the steps, taking them 2 at a time. I ran to the car, out of breath. "Guys, you have no idea how glad I am to I froze. The driver's door was ajar. There was no one in the car. The engine was idling. The headlights hit the tree trunks. There was no ranger in the driver's seat. Lying there was an old cassette recorder.
From the recorder's speaker, looping without pause, came Hank's voice. "Ranger team, hang in there. Be there in 5 minutes." It wasn't a radio. It was a recording. Cold went down my spine, freezing my insides. I stood alone, in the dark, at the foot of the tower, next to an empty decoy car. I heard a sound, right behind my back. Not the creaking of wood, not the wind. The wet crunch of twigs under heavy, wide, bare feet. And the smell of damp earth, rot, and an unwashed body hit my nose. Someone leaned in close to my ear. I felt hot breath. 10-4, Baker 3.